Why do you stand outside the banquet hall of life, hungry and cold, when the seat at the head of the table has been reserved for you since the beginning of time? This is the question that haunts the soul of every person who has ever struggled with lack. You look at the world and you see abundance everywhere. You see nature lavish with its leaves and flowers. You see others walking in wealth and health. And yet you look at your own life and you see only struggle. You ask yourself why your prayers go unanswered. You wonder why your affirmations seem to hit a glass ceiling and bounce back void. I am here to tell you that the fault does not lie in the stars, nor does it lie in your destiny. The fault lies in your method. You have been approaching the infinite intelligence with the wrong posture. You have been begging when you should have been commanding. And this simple distinction is the invisible wall standing between you and your financial freedom. To understand this, we must look at the most mundane actions of your daily life. For spiritual law is often mirrored in physical habits. Consider the act of dining in a restaurant. This is a perfect metaphor for the relationship between man and the universal supply. When you walk into a restaurant, you do not enter with trembling knees. You do not approach the table wondering if you are worthy of the food. You do not sit down and cry out in desperation, hoping the chef will take pity on your hunger. No, you enter with dignity. You take your seat. You open the menu, which represents the infinite catalog of what is available to you in this universe. You make a selection. And then, with total composure and absolute certainty, you give your order to the waiter. You say, "I will have this dish." You do not say, "If it is not too much trouble, and if there is enough food in the kitchen, and if I am good enough, could I please have a crumb?" You simply command the meal. Now pay close attention to what happens after you give that order. This is the crucial moment. Once the order is given, you relax. You engage in conversation. You enjoy the atmosphere. You do not jump up and follow the waiter into the kitchen. You do not grab his sleeve every 30 seconds and ask, "Are you sure the chef is cooking it? Are you sure you didn't forget me? Please don't let me starve." If you behave that way in a restaurant, the staff would think you were insane. They would sense your panic and it would create confusion. Yet, this is exactly how the majority of humanity treats the great universal substance. They pray for money, they ask for a new job, they desire healing. But immediately after the prayer, they begin to worry. They begin to doubt. They beg God to hurry up. They plead with the universe as if it were a stingy tyrant withholding their good. This behavior is not faith. It is anxiety dressed up as religion. And anxiety pushes your good away from you, just as surely as a physical hand pushes away a gift. The reason you do not beg the waiter is that you have confidence in the system of the restaurant. You know the kitchen is stocked. You know the chef is capable. You know that your ability to pay and your presence at the table give you the right to be served. Why then do you have less confidence in the creator of the universe than you do in a local diner? The universe is the great kitchen. It is stocked with infinite supply. There is no shortage of money, no shortage of opportunities, no shortage of love. The supply is inexhaustible. When you beg, you are insulting the host. You are saying, by your very attitude, that you believe the kitchen is empty or that the host is unwilling to feed you. This attitude of begging creates a vibration of lack. And the law of life is a law of reflection. Life mirrors back to you exactly what you project. If you project the energy of a beggar, the universe will treat you like a beggar. You will receive scraps, leftovers, and charity. But if you project the energy of a master, a commander of your own life, the universe will serve you a feast. We must go deeper into the psychology of this error. Begging is fundamentally an affirmation of absence. When you plead for money, you are shouting to your subconscious mind, "I do not have money." The subconscious mind is a faithful servant, but it is blind. It does not judge what is good or bad for you. It only acts on your strongest conviction. If your strongest conviction is "I need," then the subconscious will work tirelessly to keep you in a state of needing. It will manifest more bills, more delays, and more scarcity simply because that is the order you place through your attitude of begging. You see, the universe does not speak English, or French, or Spanish. It speaks frequency. It speaks vibration. The vibration of "I want" is the vibration of lack. The vibration of "I command" is the vibration of possession. When you command, you are vibrating at the frequency of having received. You are aligning yourself with the solution rather than the problem. Let us be clear about what commanding means. It does not mean you are arrogant towards God. It does not mean you are demanding and rude. It means you are aware of your divine right. A prince does not beg his father the king for a pair of shoes. A prince knows that it is the king's pleasure to provide for him. He simply states his need with the authority of his birthright. You are a child of the infinite. Prosperity is your birthright. Health is your natural state. Success is your destiny. When you realize this identity, you stop crawling. You stand up. You stop imploring the sky to change, and you start speaking the word that changes the earth. The command is the tool of the master. It is the focused application of your will and your faith. It is the act of looking a situation of lack in the eye and declaring abundance in its place. Consider the energy expenditure of begging versus commanding. Begging is exhausting. It drains your vitality. It keeps you in a loop of emotional turmoil. You wake up worried, you go to bed worried, and your prayers are filled with the heavy energy of desperation. This heaviness acts as a barrier. It creates a dense fog around you through which your good cannot penetrate. On the other hand, commanding is energizing. It is crisp, it is sharp, it is finished. When you place an order, you are done with the asking part. You move into the receiving part. You free up your mental energy to prepare for the arrival of your good. You start setting the table. You start making space. This lightness of spirit is the very channel through which abundance flows. Money loves speed, and money loves light energy. It cannot flow to a mind that is clogged with the heavy sludge of begging and pleading. The tragedy is that many good, honest, hardworking people are stuck in poverty simply because they are too humble in the wrong way. They have been taught that it is pious to beg. They have been taught that they must suffer to earn their reward. This is a lie that keeps you small. True humility is accepting your greatness as a creation of the divine. True humility is accepting that you were designed for success, not failure. By refusing to command your supply, you are actually rejecting the gift that has been offered to you. Imagine if you prepared a beautiful gift for a friend, and instead of taking it, they fell to their knees and begged you for it, crying and pleading. You would be confused. You would say, "Stand up and take it, it is already yours." The universe is saying the same thing to you right now. It is holding out the check for the money you need. It is holding out the contract for the job you want. But you are too busy on your knees, eyes closed in desperation, to see the hand that is reaching out to you. So, the great distinction we make today is the shift from the passive hope of the beggar to the active faith of the commander. It is a shift in your internal posture. It requires you to stop identifying with your problems and start identifying with your power. You must stop telling the universe how big your debts are and start telling your debts how big your God is. You must walk through your day not as someone who is seeking a favor, but as someone who is claiming an inheritance. This does not happen overnight, but it starts with a decision. The decision to watch your words and your thoughts. Every time you catch yourself slipping into the whine of the beggar, you must stop. Correct yourself. Straighten your spine, take a deep breath, and rephrase your thought as a command. Instead of saying, "I hope I can make rent this month," you say, "I have infinite supply, and my rent is paid under grace in a perfect way." This is the foundation upon which the rest of this video will build. Without this fundamental shift in attitude, no affirmation will work. You can repeat the most powerful words in the world, but if you say them with the heart of a beggar, they will fall flat. But if you say even the simplest word with the heart of a commander, mountains will move. We are going to explore exactly how to formulate these commands and how to bypass the doubts of your logical mind in the chapters to come. But for now, let this truth settle deep into your bones. You are not a beggar at the gate of life. You are the guest of honor. The feast is prepared. The waiter is waiting. Stop crying for the bread. Command the feast. Now that we have established the vital distinction between begging and commanding, we must journey deeper into the mechanics of why your commands have failed in the past. To command successfully, you must understand the engine that drives the manifestation of your reality. That engine is faith. However, there is a fundamental misunderstanding about what faith actually is. Most people believe that faith is a religious virtue that you either have or you do not have. They think fear is the absence of faith, just as darkness is the absence of light. But I am here to tell you that this is scientifically and spiritually incorrect. Fear is not the absence of faith. Fear is faith inverted. Fear is faith in reverse. It is the exact same power, the exact same creative energy, but flowing in the wrong direction. Think of faith as a neutral force, like electricity. Electricity does not care if it lights up a hospital room to save a life, or if it burns down a house because of a short circuit. It simply acts according to the channel through which it is directed. Your mind is the director of this energy. When you direct this believing power toward a positive outcome, toward abundance, health, and success, we call it faith. But when you direct this same intense believing power toward a negative outcome, toward debt, sickness, and failure, we call it fear. Do you see? You are never without faith. You are always using it. The man who stays awake at night, trembling with the certainty that he will lose his job, is a man of great faith. He has absolute confidence in the disaster. He is visualizing the worst-case scenario with perfect clarity. He is feeling the emotions of the loss before it has even happened. He is using the law of faith perfectly, but he is using it to destroy himself. This is the physics of your spiritual life. The universe is a mirror that reflects your dominant vibration. When you beg and plead with fear in your heart, you are sending out a massive signal of disaster is coming. You are telling the universal substance that you believe in the power of evil more than you believe in the power of good. You are saying that the obstacle is bigger than the supply. And because the universe is a faithful servant, it honors your belief. It says, if you believe in lack so strongly, then lack you shall have. This is why Jesus asked the disciples, "Why are you fearful, O you of little faith?" He was not scolding them for being weak. He was pointing out that they were misusing their power. They were placing their faith in the storm rather than in the master of the storm. To understand how this operates in your daily life, we must look at the nature of the subconscious mind. Your subconscious is the recording machine of your life. It is like a sensitive wax disc or a high-fidelity hard drive that records every sound, every whisper, and every feeling you generate. But here is the critical danger point that most people miss. The subconscious mind has absolutely no sense of humor. It does not understand a joke. It does not understand sarcasm. It is literal. It takes everything you say at face value. If you say something repeatedly with emotion, the subconscious accepts it as a command and begins to weave it into your reality. Let me illustrate this with a tragic but illuminating story from my own experience with students. I once knew a woman who was living a very comfortable life. She had wealth, she had a beautiful home, and she had no reason to worry about money. However, she had a peculiar habit. She thought it was amusing to joke about poverty. Perhaps she was trying to be humble, or perhaps she was just mimicking the complaints of those around her to fit in. Whenever she spent money, she would laugh and say, "Oh dear, I am getting ready for the poorhouse." She would tell her friends over tea, "I'll die in the poorhouse eventually." She said it with a smile. She said it as a joke. Her conscious mind knew she was wealthy. Her conscious mind knew she was safe, but her subconscious mind did not know it was a joke. Day after day, year after year, she repeated this phrase, "I am getting ready for the poorhouse." She was planting seeds of poverty in the fertile soil of her subconscious. For a long time, nothing happened. The seeds were germinating underground. This is where most people get careless. They think because the lightning bolt doesn't strike immediately, they are safe. But the law is slow, steady, and inevitable. Eventually, the harvest came. Through a series of unexpected business failures, bad investments, and unfortunate circumstances, her fortune began to crumble. The money drained away exactly as she had decreed. Within a few years, this woman, who once lived in luxury, found herself destitute. She lost her home, she lost her savings, and in a twist of fate that was almost too literal to believe, she was taken in by a charitable institution for the poor. She had joked herself into the poorhouse. The subconscious mind simply delivered what she had ordered. This story should send a shiver down your spine. It is a wake-up call. How many times have you joked about being broke? How many times have you looked at a bill and jokingly said, "This is going to kill me"? How many times have you said, "I can't win for losing," or "Money slips through my fingers like water"? You think you are just venting. You think you are just making conversation, but you are issuing commands. You are writing the code for your own financial software. Every time you speak a word of lack, you are blocking your supply. You are building a dam in the river of your own prosperity. The universe is trying to send you wealth, but your words are pushing it away. This is why the distinction between begging and commanding is so vital, and why fear is the enemy of the command. When you beg, you are usually vibrating in fear. You are focused on the problem. You are focused on the debt. You are replaying the movie of your financial ruin over and over in your mind. This intense focus on the negative creates a magnetic vortex that draws more of the same into your experience. It is the law of attraction working in the negative. You attract what you fear just as surely as you attract what you love. In fact, you often attract what you fear faster because fear carries a higher emotional charge than casual hope. We must also address the double mind. This is where many of you are stuck right now. You practice your affirmations in the morning. You sit for 10 minutes and say, "I am wealthy. I am abundant." That is good. That is a command. But then, for the other 16 hours of the day, you revert to the language of fear. You complain about the price of gas. You worry about the economy. You gossip about who is losing their job. You tell your spouse, "We will never get ahead." Do you see what you are doing? You are building a castle in the morning and tearing it down with a wrecking ball in the afternoon. You are neutralizing your own prayers. The subconscious mind is confused. It receives the order for wealth, and then 10 minutes later, it receives the order for poverty. And because the order for poverty is usually spoken with more emotion and belief, that is the one that gets executed. You must understand that the universe acts on the sum total of your vibrations. You cannot fool the law. You cannot fake it for 5 minutes and then live in fear for the rest of the day. To unblock your supply, you must become a disciplinarian of your own mind. You must stand guard at the door of your thought life. Every time a fearful thought tries to enter, you must stop it. You must recognize it for what it is. It is not a warning. It is a temptation. It is a temptation to use your creative power against yourself. When the thought comes that says, "You will not have enough money for rent," you must not entertain it. You must not invite it in for tea. You must slam the door and say, "No, that is a lie. My supply comes from God, and it is infinite. I command the rent to be paid under grace." This physics of faith explains why some people work very hard but remain poor, while others work with ease and become rich. It is not about the hours of labor. It is about the internal setting of the mind. The hard worker who is driven by the fear of poverty is constantly pushing wealth away. His fear creates invisible barriers. Deals fall through at the last minute. Expenses arise out of nowhere. His own vibration is sabotaging him. The person who works with the assurance of the command, who operates from a state of faith and trust, attracts opportunities. Things flow to him. He is magnetic. He has dissolved the blocks of fear, allowing the natural current of abundance to flow. So, as we close this section, I want you to take a serious inventory of your mental and verbal habits. Are you using your faith in reverse? Are you an expert at visualizing disaster? Are you joking yourself into poverty? Realize that your supply is waiting for you. It has been trying to reach you, but your wall of fear, constructed brick by brick with your own words, has kept it out. Today, we begin to dismantle that wall. We stop the jokes. We stop the complaints. We stop the worry. We reverse the engine. We take that powerful, creative force of expectation, and we turn it toward the light. We start expecting the good with the same intensity that we used to expect the bad. And when you do that, the physics of your life change instantly. The block is removed, and the river begins to flow. We have explored the tragic mistake of begging, and we have uncovered the dangerous physics of fear. Now, we arrive at the pivotal moment of your transformation. We arrive at the point where you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the captain of your soul. We arrive at the mastering of spiritual authority through the law of the spoken word. You must understand that your voice is not merely a tool for communication, it is a tool for creation. In the ancient texts, it is written that the worlds were framed by the word of God. As a being made in that image, your world is framed by your word. You are constantly decreeing your life into existence, whether you are aware of it or not. The difference between the person who drowns in debt and the person who swims in abundance is often nothing more than the authority with which they speak to their conditions. Most people speak to their problems with respect, with fear, and with submission. They bow down before their debts. They worship their illnesses. They idolize their limitations. Today, we learn to shatter those idols and speak to the mountain not as a trembling observer, but as a commander who expects it to move. To illustrate the sheer power of this shift in posture, let me share with you a story that perfectly encapsulates the movement from victimhood to victory. It is the story of a woman who came to me in a state of absolute terror. She was facing a lawsuit for $3,000. Now, you must understand that, at that time, $3,000 was a monumental sum, enough to ruin a person's reputation and livelihood. She saw no way out. Her bank account was empty. She had no assets to sell. There were no rich relatives she could call upon. The logical mind looked at her situation and said, "It is over. You are finished." She spent her nights pacing the floor, her mind racing with images of courtrooms, humiliation, and poverty. She was praying, yes, but her prayers were panicked cries for help. She was begging God to change the external circumstances, while she remained internally broken. She was operating from the vibration of a victim. She felt that life was attacking her and she was defenseless. When she came to me, I saw immediately that her problem was not the lawsuit. Her problem was her state of mind. She was treating the debt as a giant and herself as a grasshopper. I told her that she had to reverse this relationship. I told her, "You are begging for a solution, but the solution is waiting for your command. You must stop looking at the lack and start looking at the source." We sat together, and I explained to her that the infinite intelligence knows no obstacle. To the universal mind, $3,000 is no more difficult to manifest than 3 cents. The difficulty was only in her own limited thinking. We constructed a statement of authority. We did not write a prayer of supplication. We wrote a decree of possession. We affirmed, "I deny this debt has any power over me. I deny that I am limited. I command the $3,000 to appear under grace in a perfect way." I have faith that the supply is mine now. This was the turning point. It was not just the words she said, it was the decision behind them. She decided to stop being afraid. She decided to trust the invisible law more than the visible threat. She walked out of that room with a new demeanor. She stopped crying. She stopped talking about the lawsuit to everyone she met. She started acting as if the matter was already settled. She maintained her composure. This is the essence of authority. It is the calm inner knowing that once you have spoken the word, the universe is moving heaven and earth to fulfill it. And move it did. The manifestation that followed was nothing short of miraculous. A few days later, a cousin of hers whom she had not seen or heard from in many years appeared at her door. He had not been contacted. He knew nothing of her legal trouble. He knew nothing of her desperation. Yet, moved by an inexplicable impulse, he came to visit, and before he left, he handed her a check for exactly $3,000. He told her he felt she might need it. Now, pause and analyze this. The skeptics will call it a coincidence, but spiritual law knows no coincidence. It only knows cause and effect. What was the cause? The shift in her authority. As long as she was begging and fearing, she was invisible to her good. Her fear was a wall that kept the cousin away. But the moment she took her power back, the moment she spoke with the authority of a daughter of the king, she opened the channel. Her command went out into the ether. It touched the subconscious mind of her cousin, and it guided him to her door with the precision of a homing pigeon. This is the power you hold in your tongue right now. You do not need to know how the money will come. That woman did not know about the cousin. If she had tried to figure out the how, she would have failed. Her job was the what and the who. She defined what she wanted, and she remembered who she was. The universe took care of the how. This leads us to the practical application of the law of the spoken word. You must think of your word as a wand. A magic wand in fairy tales is a symbol of the ability to change reality instantly. Your tongue is that wand, but a wand requires a steady hand. You cannot wave it frantically in all directions. You must point it directly at the obstacle and speak with unwavering intent. When you look at a pile of unpaid bills, do not say, "I will never pay these." That is a black magic spell you are casting on yourself. Instead, point your wand at the bills and say, "I command these bills to be paid. I baptize you with success. You are but a temporary appearance, and I replace you with divine abundance." You must learn to talk to your checkbook, talk to your empty hands, talk to your business. Prophesy to your dry bones, as Ezekiel did in the valley. He did not beg the bones to live, he commanded them. O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. And they came together, bone to bone, and flesh came upon them. Your finances are those dry bones. They are waiting for your voice. To master this authority, you must also understand the concept of decreeing. The Bible says, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto you." A decree is not a request. A decree is an administrative order. When a king signs a decree, he does not worry if the army will obey. He knows his authority is absolute. You are the king or queen of your own mental kingdom. Your subconscious mind is your army. It is waiting for your decree. But if your decree is weak, if your voice wavers, if you add a question mark at the end of your command, your army stands confused. You must strip your speech of all hesitancy. Eliminate words like try, hope, maybe, and if. These are the words of the beggar. Replace them with I am, I have, it is done, and I give thanks. This transition from victim to commander requires vigilance. The victim mentality is addictive. It feels safe to feel sorry for yourself. It feels natural to seek sympathy from others by telling them how hard your life is. But sympathy does not pay the rent. Pity does not heal the body. You must be willing to give up the luxury of being a victim. You must be willing to stand alone in your authority, even if others think you are delusional. When the storm rages, the captain does not cry. The captain commands the ship. You are the captain. The $3,000 lawsuit story is not just a nice anecdote. It is a template for your life. Whatever your lawsuit is today, whether it is a debt of thousands, a health diagnosis, or a broken relationship, the method is the same. Stop feeding the problem with your fear. Starve the problem by withdrawing your attention from it. And then, turn to the universal supply and issue your command. Let us practice this mental posture right now. Imagine the biggest burden currently resting on your shoulders. Feel the weight of it. Now, realize that this burden only has the weight you give it. In the grand scheme of the infinite, it is lighter than a feather. Stand up in your mind, look at that burden and say, "You have no power over me. I strip you of your authority. My supply is infinite, immediate, and endless. I command order to return to my affairs. I command money to flow to me. I command peace to fill my home." Feel the shift? That surge of energy you feel is the return of your power. It is the awakening of the commander within. The universe responds to this energy. It respects this energy. When you walk with this kind of spiritual swagger, doors open. People want to help you. Opportunities seek you out. Because success is attracted to confidence, and prosperity is attracted to power. Do not let this be a temporary feeling. The challenge is to maintain this authority. When the video ends and you look at your bank balance, that is the test. The senses will scream lack, but the spirit must shout plenty. You must deny the report of the senses and stand by the report of the truth. The woman with the lawsuit had to face the silence of the days before the cousin arrived. She had to hold her ground when nothing seemed to be happening. That is where the battle is won. If you can hold your command in the face of silence, the breakthrough is guaranteed. Your word is the law of your universe. Do not revoke it with doubt. Let it stand. Let it work. And sure enough, your cousin will appear. Your solution will knock on the door. Your miracle will manifest. Master your authority, and you master your life. Before we reveal the dangerous trap that destroys the prayers of most people in the next section, I want to invite you to join our growing community of seekers. If you are ready to stop begging and start commanding your destiny, take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you are signaling to the universe that you are dedicated to higher wisdom. If this message is resonating with your spirit, click the like button to seal your intention. It is a small act of action that prepares you for the greater truths we are about to uncover regarding the double mind. Let's continue. We have now established the power of the command and the necessity of taking your authority. You may be feeling a surge of confidence, ready to march out and decree your abundance. But I must pause here and issue a grave warning. There is a hidden trap that has ensnared the majority of seekers, keeping them in a cycle of frustration for years. It is the trap of the double mind. You may have the most powerful engine in the world, which is your faith, and the most skilled driver, which is your command. But if you have one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake, you will not move an inch. In fact, you will burn out your engine. This is exactly what millions of people are doing with their mental lives. They are building with one hand and tearing down with the other. They are victims of their own inconsistency. Let us look closely at the architecture of your average day to understand this tragedy. You wake up in the morning, inspired by these teachings. You sit in your chair, close your eyes, and for 15 minutes you are a master. You affirm, "I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am surrounded by divine love." You feel the truth of it. You send that clear, strong signal to the universe. The subconscious mind receives this order and says, "Yes, I will get to work on this immediately." It begins to align the forces of your life to bring you money and health. But then the meditation ends. You stand up and walk out the door. You get into your car and someone cuts you off in traffic. Immediately, you curse them. You arrive at work, and your colleague asks how you are. You sigh and say, "Oh, it is a struggle. The economy is terrible. I don't know how I will pay my bills." Do you see what you have done? In that one moment of casual complaint, you have canceled the 15 minutes of prayer. You have sent a counter order to the subconscious. The subconscious mind is now confused. At 8 a.m., it was told you are wealthy. At 9 a.m., it is told you are struggling. Which order should it follow? The law of mind states that the subconscious will always follow the order that is backed by the most emotion. And usually, your complaints, your fears, and your gossip are charged with much more real emotion than your morning affirmations. You are literally planting a garden of roses in the morning and pouring poison on them in the afternoon. Then you look at your garden and wonder why nothing grows but weeds. You ask, "Why doesn't the law work for me?" The law is working perfectly. It is giving you exactly what you are asking for, which is confusion and chaos. This brings us to the terrifying power of idle words. Most people think that their casual conversations do not count. They think they can joke about their poverty, be sarcastic about their bad luck, or gossip about the failures of others without consequence. They believe there is a difference between prayer time and real life. But the universe knows no such distinction. Every word you speak is a prayer. Every sentence is a brick you are laying in the house you must eventually live in. I want you to consider the story of a woman who felt trapped by the endless responsibilities of her home. She was tired of cleaning, tired of organizing, and tired of managing her large house. She did not mean any harm, but she developed a habit of sighing and saying, "I am so sick of this house. I wish I lived in a suitcase. It would be so much simpler." She said this over and over to her friends. She thought she was just venting. She thought she was just being dramatic. But the subconscious mind is a literal recorder. It does not understand metaphors. It heard the command, "I want to live in a suitcase." It recorded the feeling of resentment toward her home. And the law, which is impartial and exact, went to work. A few years later, through a series of misfortunes and losses that seemed unrelated, she lost that big, beautiful house. She lost her stability. She ended up with nothing but her clothes and a few possessions. Quite literally, she found herself living out of a suitcase in a small room. She got exactly what she had commanded. She had used her idle words to destroy her own comfort. This is not a punishment from a judgmental God. It is simply the mechanics of the law. If you put your hand in the fire, you get burned, not because the fire hates you, but because that is the nature of fire. Therefore, the first step in cleaning your subconscious is to become ruthlessly vigilant about your conversation. You must become the guardian of your tongue. You cannot afford the luxury of a negative conversation. You cannot afford to join in the pity parties of your friends. When they start talking about how hard times are, you must either change the subject or silently affirm the opposite. If you join in the chorus of lack, you are signing your name to their decree of poverty. You must treat every word as a seed. Before you speak, ask yourself, do I want to eat the fruit of this word? If the answer is no, do not speak it. Swallow the complaint. Swallow the sarcasm. Swallow the doubt. It is better to be silent than to speak against your own interest. Now we must address the second part of this trap, which is the law of non-resistance. This is perhaps the most paradoxical and difficult lesson for the human mind to grasp. We are taught from childhood that to solve a problem, we must fight it. If we have a debt, we must worry about it, strategize over it, and wrestle with it. If we have an illness, we must fight the disease. But the spiritual law operates on a higher plane. The law states, what you resist persists. When you fight a situation, you are focusing your entire attention on it. You are emotionally engaged with the problem. And because energy flows where attention goes, you are actually feeding the problem with your own energy. You are making the monster bigger by wrestling with it. Imagine you are in a room full of darkness. You want the darkness to leave. You cannot take a broom and sweep the darkness out. You cannot grab the darkness with your hands and throw it out the window. The more you flail your arms and fight the darkness, the more exhausted you become, and the room remains dark. The only way to remove the darkness is to turn on the light. The light does not fight the darkness. The light simply is, and in its presence, the darkness ceases to exist. This is the principle of non-resistance. You cannot overcome poverty by fighting poverty. You overcome poverty by turning on the light of abundance. You cannot overcome sickness by fighting sickness. You overcome sickness by focusing entirely on health. Many of you are blocking your supply because you are in a state of constant war with your current reality. You hate your job. You hate your debt. You hate your small apartment. This hatred is a form of resistance. It is a strong emotional bond that ties you to the very thing you want to escape. As long as you hate your debt, you are chained to it. The way out is not war, it is peace. It is non-resistance. You must look at the debt and say, I am not disturbed by this appearance. This is only a temporary shadow. I walk through it undisturbed. When you withdraw your emotional reaction from the problem, you starve it. You cut off its food supply, and at the same time, you turn your attention to the solution. This is walking on the water. Peter sank only when he looked at the storm and resisted the waves with fear. As long as he kept his eyes on the Master, which represents the law, he walked over the turbulence. So how do we clean the subconscious and escape the double mind? We use the eraser of the spoken word. The moment you catch yourself speaking a negative word or feeling a negative emotion, do not condemn yourself. Guilt is just another trap. Instead, immediately neutralize it. If you say, I can't afford this, stop right there. Say out loud, I cancel that statement. I strike it from the record. My supply is infinite, and I am able to possess all that is mine by divine right. You must be quick. You must be decisive. You are rewriting the script of your life in real time. You can also use a powerful cleansing affirmation. Say this to yourself, I now smash and demolish every false record in my subconscious mind. I break every pact I have made with poverty. I destroy every blueprint of failure I have built with my fear. I return them to the dust of nothingness. I now build a new record of perfect success, perfect health, and perfect plenty. Say this with the ferocity of a warrior. You are reclaiming your territory. You are evicting the squatters of fear and doubt from your mental home. The goal is to reach a state of single-mindedness. This is the state where your conscious desire and your subconscious expectation are perfectly aligned. When you reach this state, manifestation is instantaneous. There is no friction, there is no delay. You speak, and it is done. But to get there, you must pass through the discipline of the tongue. You must stop being a builder by day and a destroyer by night. You must commit to a diet of positive words. You must refuse to let a single word of lack pass the gate of your lips. It requires effort. It requires awareness. But the reward is a life where obstacles melt away before you and your supply meets you at every turn. In the next part, having cleaned the weeds from your mental garden, we will finally be ready to plant the seeds of gold. We will learn the specific, high-power affirmations that act as keys to the treasury of the universe. But remember, the finest seed will not grow in toxic soil. Your job today is to purify the soil. Stop the double-mindedness, stand in the light, and let the resistance fade away so that your good can rush in to fill the void. We have journeyed together through the cleaning of the mind. We have uprooted the weeds of fear. We have silenced the double-mindedness that cancels our prayers. Now, the soil of your subconscious is ready. It is fertile, dark, and waiting. It is time to plant the seeds of pure gold. In this section, I am going to place into your hands the golden keys of the kingdom. These are the specific, time-tested affirmations that have opened the doors of abundance for thousands of men and women before you. But let us be very clear before we begin. These are not merely poetic phrases to make you feel better. These are scientific formulas. Just as a chemist combines elements to create a reaction, you are combining spiritual words to create a manifestation. These words carry a specific vibratory rate that the subconscious mind recognizes and obeys. When you speak them, you are not wishing for wealth. You are tuning your mental radio to the frequency of wealth. The first key I want to give you is for those who feel disconnected from their supply, those who feel that money is something out there that they must chase. You must heal this separation. Money is not a physical object. It is a spiritual idea of circulation. To reconnect with it, I want you to use this decree. I am linked to an endless golden stream of prosperity, which flows to me under grace in a perfect way. Analyze these words. I am linked. It is an assertion of an unbreakable connection. You are declaring that the pipeline between you and the universal treasury is open. Endless golden stream. This creates a vivid image in the subconscious. You are not asking for a cup of water. You are standing in a river, and most importantly, under grace. This is the safety clause of the law. We do not want money that comes through theft, or through an accident, or through the loss of a loved one. We want money that comes beautifully, peacefully, and rightfully. We command the supply to come with a blessing, not a burden. Now, let us address the area of work. Many of you are stuck in jobs you despise, or you are looking for work and finding closed doors. You believe that work is toil, a curse, a struggle for survival. As long as you hold that belief, your work will be heavy and your pay will be small. We must transmute this lead into gold. Here is the affirmation that has liberated countless workers. I have a magic work in a magic way. I give magic service for magic pay. Do not be afraid of the word magic. It refers to the higher law, the way of the spirit, which is effortless and surprising. When you say this, you are commanding the universe to lift your daily labor out of the realm of drudgery and into the realm of divine expression. You are declaring that your service is valuable, unique, and worthy of magnificent reward. I have seen people speak this word, and within weeks, they were promoted unexpectedly, or they stumbled upon their dream career, or their business suddenly attracted a wave of ideal clients. Why? Because they stopped affirming work is hard and started affirming work is magic. To illustrate the raw power of these verbal keys, I must tell you the story of the magic purse. It is a story that proves you do not need a fortune to start. You only need the right state of mind. A woman came to me once in a state of utter financial exhaustion. She opened her purse and showed me a single, lonely dollar. She looked at it with disdain. She looked at it with fear. She said, "This is all I have left. I am afraid to spend it. I am afraid to let it go." She was clutching that dollar so tightly that she was strangling her own supply. I looked at her and said, "As long as you look at that dollar with fear, you are poor. But if you can look at that dollar as a seed, you are rich." I taught her to change her relationship with her money instantly. I told her to take that dollar and bless it. I told her to speak to her purse. We crafted a specific affirmation for her situation. My supply comes from God, and huge piles of money are piling up for me under grace. But we went further. I gave her the visualization of the magic purse of the Spirit. I told her to say, "My purse is the magic purse of the Spirit. It can never be emptied. As money goes out, it comes back immediately, multiplied and blessed." I told her to spend that dollar with fearlessness, trusting that she was priming the pump of a great well. She took the leap of faith. She stopped hoarding out of terror and started circulating out of trust. She repeated the affirmation about the huge piles of money until she could feel the weight of it in her hands. She saturated her mind with the image of plenty. The result was not logical. It was spiritual. A short time later, through a channel she could never have predicted, she received a gift of $6,000. Now, understand this clearly. The $6,000 did not come from the dollar she spent. It came from the change in her vibration. The dollar was just the physical anchor for her faith. The affirmation was the tool that smashed the dam of fear and allowed the water of wealth to rush in. She moved from the vibration of holding on to the last crumb to the vibration of huge piles of money, and the universe had no choice but to fill the mold she presented. If she had kept crying over that dollar, she would have remained in lack. But by using the golden key, she unlocked the storehouse. Now, I must instruct you on how to use these keys. It is not enough to mumble these words while you are washing the dishes, with your mind half distracted. The subconscious mind is influenced by rhythm, by tone, and by authority. You must speak these words as if you are a judge reading a verdict. You must speak them as if you are a general commanding an army. There is a specific cadence to a command. It is rhythmic. I have a magic work. In a magic way. Feel the beat of it. This rhythm helps to drive the words deeper into the mental substance, like a hammer driving a nail. Do not whine the affirmation. Do not beg the affirmation. Declare it. You must also engage the visual faculty of the mind. Words are the shells that contain images. When you say the word prosperity, do not just hear the sound. See the image it evokes. See your bank account balance growing. See your bills stamped, paid. See yourself walking with dignity and ease. When you say endless stream, visualize a river of golden light flowing right through your house. This combination of sound and sight is the nuclear energy of the mind. Most people use this combination to destroy themselves. They say, I'm sick, and they visualize a hospital bed. You must reverse this. Say, I am wealth, and visualize your freedom. I want you to select the affirmation that resonates most with your current need. If you are in debt, use this. I cast this burden on the Christ within, and I go free to be loving, harmonious, and happy. If you are facing a lack of opportunities, use this. I banish the past. I live in the wonderful now, where happy surprises come to me each day. Repeat your chosen key in the morning immediately upon waking, before the fears of the world have a chance to enter your mind. Repeat it at night, just as you drift off to sleep, so that your subconscious can marinate in it for 8 hours. And most importantly, have it ready on the tip of your tongue during the day. When the bill arrives, do not gasp, speak the word. When the bad news comes, do not faint, speak the word. This practice requires discipline. It is easy to be faithful when things are going well. It is easy to affirm wealth when you have money in your pocket. The true master is the one who can stand in the midst of emptiness and declare fullness. The true master is the one who can look at the single dollar and call it a seed of millions. This is the alchemy of the soul. You are turning the base metal of fear into the gold of faith. You are proving that the visible world is subject to the invisible word. As we prepare to move to the next section, remember that the affirmation is the announcement of the truth, but it must be followed by the preparation of the vessel. You have the keys now. You know the code. But are you ready to receive what you are asking for? Many people ask for the ocean, but bring only a teaspoon to the shore. In the next part, we will learn how to throw away the teaspoon and bring a bucket. We will learn the law of preparation, and how to act as if the money is already in your hand. But for now, let these golden keys jingle in your pocket. Knowing that you have the power to open any door, I am linked to an endless golden stream of prosperity. Make that your song, and the world will dance to your tune. We have spoken the word. We have cleaned the subconscious. We have held the golden keys. But now we arrive at the bridge that crosses the chasm between the invisible realm of thought and the visible realm of matter. This is where most people stop, and this is why most people fail. They believe that speaking the word is enough. They sit in their chairs, affirm their wealth, and then wait for the money to drop into their laps while they continue to live exactly as they did before. They are spiritually active but physically passive, but the law of prosperity demands a partnership. You cannot simply place an order, you must prepare to receive delivery. If you ordered a massive piece of furniture for your home, you would not sit around until the truck arrived. You would clear a space. You would move the old furniture out. You would open the door. You would make room for the new. This act of making room is what we call the law of preparation or active faith. To understand the absolute necessity of this law, we must look to one of the most profound illustrations in the ancient scriptures. It is the story of three kings who were traveling through the desert with their armies. They ran out of water. The sun was beating down, the heat was suffocating, and men and beasts were dying of thirst. There was no oasis in sight. There were no clouds in the sky. It was a situation of absolute lack. In their desperation, they consulted the prophet Elisha. They begged for a miracle. Now, listen closely to the answer the prophet gave. He did not say, "Sit down and pray, and the water will appear." He did not say, "Wait for a storm." He gave them a command that made absolutely no sense to the rational mind. He said, "Thus saith the Lord, make this valley full of ditches. Consider the absurdity of this." These men were exhausted. They were dehydrated. The ground was hard and dry as stone. And yet, the command was to pick up their shovels and dig. Why? Because the miracle requires a vessel. The water of the infinite is always ready to flow, but it cannot flow if there is no channel to receive it. If they had not dug the ditches, the water would have come and flooded the land, washing them away or simply evaporating in the heat. They had to prepare the capacity to hold the blessing. And so, in the face of the scorching sun, with no sign of rain, they dug. They acted their faith. They prepared for the water they could not yet see, and the next morning, without the sound of wind or the sight of rain, the water came. It flowed from the way of Edom and filled the ditches. The valley was filled with water, not because they prayed, but because they prepared. This story is the perfect blueprint for your life. You are asking for financial freedom. You are asking for a flood of abundance. But I ask you, where are your ditches? If God sent you $1 million today, would you know how to handle it? Have you prepared your mind? Have you prepared your business? Have you prepared your life? Or are you waiting to see the money before you prepare? The law says you must dig the ditch first. You must act as if the water is already on its way. This is what it means to act as if. It is not pretending. It is not lying to yourself. It is the highest form of sanity. It is aligning your physical actions with your spiritual knowledge. When you act as if you are wealthy, you are telling the universe that you trust its promise. You are digging a ditch for the money to fill. Let me bring this down from the desert of ancient times to the concrete reality of modern life. I had a student who was in a desperate housing situation. She needed an apartment in a city where housing was scarce and expensive. She had very little money. Everyone told her it was impossible. Logic told her to give up and accept a room in a poor neighborhood. But she knew the law. She knew that she had to command her good and then prepare for it. She stopped looking at the lack and started looking at her desire. She asked herself, if I already had the apartment, what would I be doing? The answer was clear. She would be furnishing it. So, she went out to a department store. She walked into the bedding section. She did not have a bed. She did not have a bedroom, but she bought a set of beautiful, warm blankets. It was a significant purchase for her. Her friends were horrified. They said, "You are crazy. Why are you spending your limited funds on blankets for a bed you don't have? You should be saving every penny." But she smiled and said, "I am digging my ditches." She was acting as if. She was holding those blankets and feeling the reality of her new home. She was impressing the subconscious with the feeling of ownership. To the subconscious mind, the act of buying the blankets was the proof that the apartment was real, and the subconscious mind moved heaven and earth to validate that proof. Within a very short time, through a miraculous set of circumstances, she was offered a beautiful apartment that she could afford. And yes, the blankets fit the bed perfectly. This is the secret that the successful know and the struggling miss. You must do the thing you would do if your prayer were already answered. If you are asking for a high-level corporate job, do not sit around in your pajamas all day waiting for the phone to ring. That is the posture of unemployment. Get up, shower, dress in your best suit, sit at your desk, organize your papers, dig the ditch, show the universe you are ready to work. If you are asking for a dining companion or a spouse, do not eat over the sink. Set the table for two. Buy the extra plate. Make space in the closet. These small acts are powerful signals. They shatter the vibration of loneliness and replace it with the vibration of expectancy. Now, I must make a very important distinction here, or you may fall into error. Acting by faith does not mean spending money recklessly that you do not have. It does not mean going into debt to impress your neighbors. That is acting from fear and ego, not faith. The woman who bought the blankets followed a strong, intuitive impulse. It felt joyful. It felt right. It was a symbolic act of preparation, not a reckless gamble. Digging your ditch might cost you nothing but effort. It might mean cleaning your house to make it worthy of the wealth you expect. It might mean organizing your wallet and throwing away old receipts to show respect for your money. It might mean looking at expensive houses online to expand your consciousness of what is possible. It is about the internal feeling of readiness. When you start to act as if, you bridge the gap between the invisible and the visible. You stop waiting for the external world to change, and you start changing from the inside out. The external world is just a mirror. If you stand before a mirror and wait for the reflection to smile first, you will wait forever. You must smile first, and then the reflection has no choice but to return the smile. You must act wealthy first, in your demeanor, in your generosity, in your gratitude, and then the money has to manifest. The law of preparation is the smile in the mirror. It is the shovel in the desert. It is the blanket for the non-existent bed. So, I challenge you today. Look at your desire. Look at the thing you have been commanding, and ask yourself, what would I be doing right now if this were already here? And then, go do it. If you want to be a writer, buy the pen. If you want to travel, get your passport. Do not wait for the money to get the passport. Get the passport to demand the money. The act of getting the passport is the command. It says, I am going. And the universe says, then I must provide the means. This is living on the edge of your faith. It is thrilling. It is alive. It is how the masters live. Stop playing it safe. Stop waiting for all the lights to turn green before you leave the house. The lights turn green as you move. The water fills the ditch as you dig. The apartment appears as you buy the blanket. You are the operant power. You are the one who sets the timeline. As long as you wait, the universe waits. The moment you move, the universe moves. So, pick up your shovel. Ignore the heat. Ignore the dry ground. Ignore the doubters who stand on the sidelines with their arms crossed. Let them laugh at your ditches. They will not be laughing when the rain comes. They will be thirsty, and you will be drinking from the abundance of your own faith. Dig your ditches deep, and dig them wide, for the rain is coming, and it will fill every inch of capacity you have prepared. We have arrived at the summit of our journey together. We have traveled a great distance in spirit, moving from the valley of begging, through the shadows of fear, past the traps of the double mind, and into the clear, bright light of command. You are not the same person who began listening to this message. Something has shifted in the tectonic plates of your consciousness. The beggar who stood outside the gates of life, pleading for a crumb of happiness, has dissolved. In his place stands the commander, the one who knows their lineage, the one who holds the golden keys, the one who is not afraid to dig ditches in the desert because they know the rain is inevitable. This final section is not just a conclusion, it is a commencement. It is your marching order. It is the final seal upon the contract you have made with the universal supply. Let us synthesize everything we have learned into a single, unbreakable truth. You have learned that begging is an insult to the giver, for it implies stinginess in the divine. You have learned that commanding is the highest form of worship, for it acknowledges the infinite abundance that has already been prepared for you. You have discovered that your fear is nothing but your own faith turned against you, a misuse of your creative power that you can reverse in an instant. You have mastered the art of the spoken word, understanding that your tongue is a wand that frames your world. You have committed to cleansing your subconscious of the weeds of double-mindedness, refusing to cancel your morning prayers with your afternoon complaints. And finally, you have embraced the law of preparation, understanding that you must act the part before you are cast in the role, digging your ditches in the hard ground of your current reality to make space for the flood of future good. Now, you must take the final step. You must accept your divine right. This is a phrase we use often, but few understand its staggering weight. To walk in divine right means to live with the absolute conviction that health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression are not things you have to earn, struggle for, or manipulate from the world. They are your inheritance. They are part of the spiritual package of your existence. You do not earn the air you breathe. It is given to you by right of your being alive. In the same way, abundance is the atmosphere of the soul. When you truly grasp this, the struggle ceases. You stop trying to make things happen, and you allow them to happen. You move from the vibration of getting to the vibration of accepting. The beggar tries to get. The commander accepts. I want you to imagine a king who has prepared a banquet for his child. The table is set with the finest foods, the music is playing, and the guests are waiting. But the child is outside in the mud, making mud pies, afraid to come in, thinking he is unworthy, thinking he must work in the fields to earn his dinner. The king is not withholding the dinner. The child is withholding himself. You are that child. The banquet of life has been ready since the foundation of the world. The money you need is already here. The love you seek is already existing. The health you desire is the reality of your being. Today, you wash off the mud of the beggar mentality. You put on the royal robe of the commander. You walk into the banquet hall, take your seat at the head of the table, and you eat. This is what it means to walk in divine right. But be warned, the world around you is still asleep. You will walk out of this sanctuary of truth and back into a world that believes in scarcity. You will meet people who love to talk about how bad the economy is. You will see news headlines that scream disaster. You will face bills that look terrifyingly real. This is the test of the commander. The true test of your authority is not how you feel when you are listening to this message. It is how you react when the world contradicts this message. When the senses say lack, will you agree with them? Or will you stand firm in your divine right and say, I deny this appearance. My supply is invisible but real, and it manifests now. You must be the guardian of your own gate. You must carry this atmosphere of abundance with you like a force field. Do not let the doubt of the world penetrate your armor. You are a secret agent of the infinite, disguised as a normal person, walking through the world but not of it, transmuting lead into gold wherever you go. Let this be your final decree, a statement of power that you carry in your heart from this day forward. Say this to yourself, not as a hope, but as a law. I now smash and demolish every limitation in my life. I step out of the prison of poverty and into the palace of plenty. I am one with the infinite intelligence that knows no lack. My word is law. My faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I command my good to come to me now. I command money to circulate in my life, freely and joyfully. I command my body to be strong and vital. I command my path to be clear and successful. I stand in my divine right, and I fear nothing, for the Father and I are one. Feel the vibration of those words. That is the vibration that creates worlds. That is the vibration that pays debts. That is the vibration that heals. Now, we must address the practical matter of maintaining this state. You cannot command once and then return to sleep. This is a lifestyle. It is a daily discipline. You must wake up every morning and put on your authority just as you put on your clothes. You must brush the negativity off your mind just as you brush the dust off your shoes. Some days will be easy. Some days will be hard. On the hard days, when the ditches seem too deep and the sun too hot, remember the three kings in the desert. Remember the woman with the magic purse. Remember the blankets for the apartment that did not exist. They held on. They did not waver. And because they stood firm, the miracle happened. You are no different from them. The same law that worked for them works for you. It is impartial. It is impersonal. It is exact. If you work the law must work for you. It has no choice. As we bring this transmission to a close, I have a request to make of you. This message you have heard is not just information. It is energy. And energy must circulate. If you hoard this truth, it will stagnate. If you share it, it will multiply. I ask you now to become a partner in this work of liberation. If these words have unlocked a door in your mind, if they have given you the courage to stand up and command your life, then seal that commitment with an action. Subscribe to this channel. This is your digital ditch. It is a sign that you want more of this truth, that you are open to receiving more wisdom. Like this video, not for the sake of the algorithm, but as an act of gratitude, a signal to the universe that you appreciate the food you have received. And I want you to do one more thing. I want you to go to the comments section and write your decree. Do not just think it, write it down. Publicly declare your new state of mind. Write, I stop begging and I start commanding. Or write, I am walking in my divine right. When you write it, you physicalize it. You make it real. You join your faith with the faith of thousands of others who are reading and writing there. You create a vortex of power that uplifts everyone. Read the decrees of others and bless them. Know that as you bless their success, you are magnetizing your own. Do not let this moment fade. Do not let the noise of the world drown out the voice of your authority. You have the tools. You have the map. You have the power. The only thing missing is your persistent, unwavering command. Go forth from this moment and never beg again. Never apologize for your greatness again. Look the world in the eye and order your good. The waiter is waiting. The kitchen is full. The check is paid. Order your feast. Live your life as a celebration of the divine abundance that flows through you, around you, and for you now and forever. You are the commander. You are the master. You are the beloved. It is done. It is done. It is done.